Should we do more like this then? Is that better for them? Yeah, but they can see better. As long as they don't have to look at you guys. Sorry. Then they have to look into the sun.
Anybody aware of anyone else that's coming? Okay. She's running away. Good morning, everyone. Once again, thank you for being here. We appreciate your attention to this and the concern of the news media and all the folks in the community. Today we're going to start with Keith Acree. He's with the Department of Adult Correction, and that's Keith, A-C-R-E-E. He'll be followed by Kirby Saunders, S-A-U-N-D-E-R-S, Orange County Emergency Services Director, and then Orange County Sheriff Charles Blackwood, both standard spellings, will also be here for any questions. Thanks again for being here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Keith Acree, Communications Director for the Department of Adult Correction. This morning, a couple of updates for you. The United States Marshals Service is contributing an additional $10,000 to the reward amount that's not available, which now brings the total reward available to $35,000 for information that leads to the capture of Ramon Alston. And in an effort to better manage the flow of information and incoming phone calls, we are providing a new phone number this morning for people calling in with information. That new number is 919-324-1082, 919-324-1082. Anyone with information about the whereabouts of Mr. Alston is encouraged to call that number, provide what they know, and that information may qualify them, may lead to a reward for them if that information leads to his capture. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Kirby Saunders, the Director of Orange County Emergency Services. As I mentioned yesterday, we have been tasked to assist the local law enforcement, state and federal partners in the capture of Mr. Alston. Specifically, we're helping to coordinate both an intensive ground search effort as well as assisting in the investigative task that law enforcement is the mission that they are doing currently. As I mentioned yesterday, we searched approximately 580 acres yesterday, with an additional 100 acres or so over into the evening hours. Our focus intention yesterday was to really focus a lot of efforts in and around the hospital area where Mr. Alston escaped from, to really assure the community that he was not there. We did not find obviously did not find Mr. Alston, and we didn't have any additional sightings in that area. It's important to note that there are really two sides to this search effort. There's the ground search effort, which are clearing known areas, residences, ravines, creeks, and things, any places he may be, while simultaneously an exhaustive investigative search also happening in the rest of the world outside of that immediate vicinity. Yesterday, in the initial response, we involved both aerial assets, helicopters, canine resources, and ground searchers, law enforcement officers, specifically trained in searching for individuals who are fleeing capture. Those canine tracks led us north of the hospital area in some areas. We followed those until the canine scents ran cold. Today's effort is to research those areas along those canine tracks to look for any what we call clues. So any signs that Mr. Alston may have been there, any footprints, any discarded remains, handcuffs, a tie, or anything that we can find that would confirm a direction of travel and how he may have evaded capture. And that is our focus today. So our law enforcement resources and searchers will be focusing north of Hillsborough, north of the UNC Hospital Hillsborough campus on the ground today, as well as assisting law enforcement in investigative functions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Laura Levine here with WREL News. We know Alston has family and friends within this area. Have they been in communication with you all? Have you been communicating with them? Are they cooperating with this investigation?
So we have made contact with some family members, yes. Cooperation has been varied.
Anthony Wilson with ABC 11, any idea how he was able to get out of those leg restrictions?
There are a couple of theories. None have given us a concrete answer. We're interviewing the two transport officers in more detail about that, but right now we're not able to speculate exactly how they were able to be removed.
I'm Dina with CBS 17. Was his escape caught on hospital camera, and if so, will that be released?
So I spoke with Chief Kelly White of the hospital police yesterday, and he allowed me to look at that video. I understand that there has been a request of the media to the hospital for that, and I'm sure that will be provided. Doesn't show a whole lot because it happens so quickly. As most of you know, the technology behind those cameras is stopgap, so all of that information is not captured. There is a very, the door opens, his foot hits the ground, and then he's out of the frame. So he was moving quickly, more quickly than the camera could capture.
With the reward announced yesterday, have you all received an influx of information calls? If so, do you have an estimate on how many tips?
I don't have an estimate. I can tell you that throughout the night, on up to 3 o'clock this morning, I was getting calls on my cell phone. None of them, to be honest with you, a lot of them were people that were just playing games with the phone numbers. And we expect that. We know that's going to happen. No concrete leads at this time. Again, $35,000 is a lot of money. Somebody knows out there that this was planned, and they know who's involved in it, and we hope that motivates them to do the right thing and let us know so that we can bring this to a successful conclusion and a just conclusion.
With that in mind, Sheriff, do you have any reason to believe that he may have changed his appearance or the clothing he was wearing when last seen?
Anthony, that's quite possible. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's on my notes to address today. There have been some questions about what he looked like because there's so many different photographs of him. The reason there are a lot of photographs, and I understand that the Department of Corrections takes pictures of them frequently. I did not realize he had dreadlocks until yesterday when I saw that first picture. It's my understanding that when he ran, he was in dreadlocks and he had those tied back. It's quite likely and probable that he's cut those, but we don't know that. We can't say that with any degree of certainty. So I would ask the public to concentrate on the photograph of his face and all the iterations of his hair, so that if they see him and it has changed, they'll know that it's him.
Any distinguishing marks, tattoos they might also look
He has a very distinguishing mark tattoo on his chest, and it is the word flame, which is, I'm told, a nickname, and it's done in dots. And right in the center of that word flame is a star. Other than that, I think there's a tattoo on his right arm, niece, the word niece on his right arm. Other than that, I'm not familiar with any other tattoos, scars.
Area Bird with Spectrum News. Are you able to give us a timeline of when they left the jail, when they made it to the hospital, and when he actually escaped, and when the actual...
So the timeline I can give you is that he arrived, or the escape happened at 7:01 a.m. As for when he left, we're going to be back here today at 4 for our next press briefing, and unless something happens before then, and I'll have a more detailed timeline by then about, and I just wasn't prepared for that question, I apologize, for when they left, when they arrived, so forth.
You said that you're talking to the 2 transport officers. Has anybody been put on suspension or any sort of...
No, ma'am. We're offering them support.
One more question, Sheriff. As you mentioned, the calls and tips that were coming in, obviously media getting them as well. We received a few that he possibly was spotted in the Timberlake area. Any belief or any substance to the fact that he could have been traveling in that direction?
So I'll say this, since he left the hospital, everything indicates a northern push. We received a call last night that he was at Big Lots in Durham. We received another call that might suggest that he was in another area in Durham. There was some discussion about him being in another part of the state. I cannot put any degree of certainty with any of those. We do have a team that's going to some of these locations to look at cameras there, and I want to really emphasize cameras. Our neighborhoods are riddled with Ring cameras, and I just want to plead to the public, if you're in that area of interest, it's Hillsborough, especially around the hospital in these neighborhoods, please check your Ring cams. I got one. I don't look at it every day. It doesn't give me alerts every day, but if I take the time to go back and look at what happened on Thursday, maybe I could. So I would ask the public to please do that, whether it's a Ring cam or other kind of surveillance equipment that you might have, to please check that for us and let us know. And remind everyone about the $35,000 reward. And again, remind everyone of the 911-324, 919-324-1082, 1082 tip line for those calls.
Got a question, Sheriff. Again, a lot of folks locally will remember Ramon Olsen's name from the shooting in 2015. What have you learned from talking with your law enforcement partners about what type of person you are searching?
I went to high school with his father. I went to all school with his father, first through. And I've known Ramon since he was born. He was a troubled child, and he's been involved in criminal activity since he was a juvenile. He's extremely cagey, he's extremely dangerous, and he has nothing to lose. Thank you all very much. We appreciate you.